Mark, do you want to start us off?
Ralph, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
5 points clear of the bottom three in the Premier League. But would it be dangerous to think that you're safe yet?
Would be, yes, but you can guarantee you that we don't. We know how tough it is and how tough it was so far to get the right points in the right moment, and there are still a lot of points to get. So it's important that we stay on focus, and I think the results yesterday in the evening were good for us, sure. It gave a little pressure from us, but it's still a long way to go. And the earlier we have the 40 points, the better it is. And so we have to stay focused for the rest of the season.
3 wins in your last 4 Premier League games. How key is that kind of run at this crucial stage of the season?
Important, very important. Especially the win against Tottenham was a win nobody expected from us. The last against Brighton was a 6-pointer, and for us also very important. But the more important thing is in the moment that the team feels that the way we play is a successful way, and we can create problems for every opponent. And I think also the flexibility of our game is rising, and that means, that we can play in different shapes now, easily switch. I think in the last game we surprised the opponent a little bit because we come in a 4-2-2-2, and I must say I like this shape, and it worked very well. And this is a kind of development we need in this period of the season. Getting a little bit surprising for the opponents always is a good thing to start in the game, and I think that was the most important thing in the last weeks.
If you was to look at the Premier League table from January the 1st onwards, Southampton would be in the top half. Does that give you an indication as to just how much of an impact you've had since you arrived?
That gives the indication that we had to take this much points, because otherwise we would not stand in the position we are in the moment, and that was important. I was always talking about taking points consistently, and we did, and it was important to come out of this area, and the way the guys did it was exactly the way we demand them to do, with a very active way of playing the game, and this pressing style, I think, is something the guys got used to, and it was a crucial key for winning games.
Up next, a huge game against Liverpool, obviously a team fighting for the Premier League title, a team that lost 1 game this season. How big a test will this be? Will this be your biggest challenge since you arrived at Southampton?
Yeah, if you want, it's one of the 2 top teams in England, but the top 6 are all not easy to play. So against. No, it's the first time we play against a really good pressing team. So the style of football I also prefer, but you can see that this team is maybe 1 step or 2 steps ahead in their development, and then it looks like this: a very, very good, balanced and organized team with a clear plan, and nice to watch also for me, and it would be a very interesting game for me and for the coaches for both sides. I think we will also have to do a lot of work outside, I think, with coaching the team, and yeah, it's maybe a big challenge, but I like these challenges.
You touched upon there the fact that you like the 4-4-2 formation that you adopted last week. When you've got a front 3 of Firmino, Salah, Mane, does that come into your thinking perhaps about going to a back 3? How do you counteract that kind of quality going forward?
I think there's not only one way to defend this. There are a lot of ways you can do it. But again, I'm happy that my team adapts different style of football, or different style of shapes in the moment, so that makes it easy to switch from one shape to the other. And it's an option to stay in the 4-2-2-2, but it is also an option to switch back in the 5-2-3 or 5-3-2. We have a few shapes we can play in, and I have not found the final decision so far.
Liverpool look like such a strong side. Is there a weakness that you can exploit? Do you see areas where you can have an effect on them?
Not so many. to be honest. But yeah, how they play is a perfect example of a physically strong team combined with technical quality, speed, and also good organization. So you can think about why it is so difficult to win against this team, and only one team in England so far could make it, and that's what Manchester City. But that doesn't mean that we are frightened about that game or afraid about walking out on the pitch in our stadium, because we know that we are playing at home. We know that we have the crowd behind us, and they were pushing us. They are pushing us. That's for sure. And you never know. Then suddenly there's a chance to turn the table in the game. And if we have this chance, we have to be prepared for it. And then maybe we have a chance to take something.
What's the Southampton team used ahead of the game?
So far, you know that Ingzi is not allowed to play. So we have to have a new offensive position. Long is back in training is an option. Yannick Westergaard trained this week again with a team that is good. There's also maybe an option for playing. If not, then we have Jack Stevens as an alternative. And yeah, the rest. Lemina is it's a pity that he's not back in training again, because he had still problems this week. So he made a little bit more rest this week. And yeah, the rest is like in the last games.
And finally, there's been a lot of talk over the course of the last week in football about racism. We've seen yet more issues, more problems, more racist abuse for players. The talk now is that the manager and the players need to get together and walk off the pitch if anyone is subject to more racist abuse. Would you support that? Is that the right next step now?
I will support everything what protects my players, and you have to know that we don't have these problems in this club. I, as a manager, never has this problem so far. But it's not only the racism; it's about every kind of discrimination so far, and I'm against every part of discrimination, because this game is for everybody, and that should be for the future. And it's always it's always necessary that we take these strong messages, like we did in the last weeks, to say this that this game is for everybody, and we are against every discrimination at all. Thanks a lot.
Hello, Ralph.
That's nice.
Klopp said that you are doing an incredible job. What does that mean to you from him?
I think he uses very often warm words for the opponent managers. So I know how it has to but it's I know him as a very honest guy, and that I know that if he says something like that, then it's not only tactic, it's kind of also a few honest things in it, and I think it's he knows me, I think, also for a long time, although we didn't play a lot of times against each other, but yeah, we had our tell me this coaching badges is the right word for it. We were studying our coaching badges and together, and we know us for a long time. We also played against each other. He was in Mainz and I was in Fürth, I think, and so it's a long way. And Cologne also, I think, yes, that's right. But I didn't play very often, so. But it was a long time we are working together. Yeah.
You played against each other 11 minutes in total.
Really? It's enough. And I didn't score in this 11 minutes? Okay. Okay.
Did you already tell him what Hüttl means?
No, not at all. I think I will tell him on the weekend, I think.
Okay, thank you guys. We'll end that section there and move on to the one for 10:30 this evening. Adam, start us off.
So, talking about Klopp, as has just been mentioned, obviously when you arrived, you were asked a lot about this Alkin Klopp, these comparisons with him. Do you think that the work you've done so far has very much proved you're your own man rather than sort of an imitation of somebody else?
I don't know. The reason why the people compare us, maybe it's the reason why we play, because we are playing similar football, means with the pricing style, and maybe because we are very emotional on the line. So but then I think it's finished with very comparisons, because then I walk or I'm the character we can't really compare. I think he makes a fantastic job in Liverpool, and I try to do my job here, and for that I think we both are not unsuccessful so far.
We've talked about you having to handle the pressure, or get the players to handle the pressure of some of the recent games. Does it feel a little bit more like there's a little less pressure on this game because it's Liverpool? You're obviously the underdogs, and you can play perhaps with a little bit more freedom?
It's always like this if you play against one of the top 6 in England, that nobody expects something from you, and then you have a little bit less pressure, I think. But if you know us as a sportsman or me as a manager, then you know that we want to win every game and we hate to lose. And so it's the challenge that is really something we like to have. And you can feel it when I stand here in the morning for the opposition meeting and talk to my players, that they are very concentrated. They are very. They want to hear how we want to play, and they want to have the right details for them to be perfectly prepared for such an opponent, because you know that you need a nearly perfect game against such an opponent. It makes this part makes it so interesting also for the team, I think, and also for us as a manager, because we are studying the opponent all the time, and it's about maybe chess in the moment. Find the right move in the right moment, and this is what you are preparing the whole week, and that makes this job so interesting.
Is that what you meant by what you said earlier about there might be a lot more coaching work to be done on the sidelines? Is that what you foresee, sort of tinkering again and again and again during the game?
Absolutely. I think also Jürgen is a guy who you can see if he's angry outside because something doesn't work like he wants to do it, or he wanted to have. So then it's normal that you act like this on the line, and against the good opponents you must do it more, because they see every space that gets open immediately. They find always the right decision, and so you have to close these gaps immediately. And if not, then you have to shout from outside. And I think it's not so easy if the atmosphere is a good one. And I think on a Friday evening here against Liverpool, the crowd will be very, very loud. And so it's not so easy to coach from outside. But if we can do it, then we do it.
So you're expecting a busy evening, if the crowd would just keep quiet a little bit, that would be...
For everybody busy, for me, for the players, and also for the crowd.
Mario Lemina, this has become a really frustrating injury now, I imagine. It's been a long time, he's sort of almost come back and not come back again. How frustrating is this, and do you think we'll see him again this season?
I'm sure we will see him again. This part is not a worse injury now, but it's normal if you train as long, if you have such a long break like he had. If you start training again, you make a little bit movements. They were not 100% in the right direction, and then you could feel every muscle, and so we have to pay attention. That's why we try to rise the impact in his training's intensity step by step. But sometimes you have to go one step back to take notes the highest risk. But I think we will see him again this year, that's for sure.
Just finally, what you said about the players earlier and their mindset about wanting to know, how can we beat Liverpool? Do they really see this as a game where perhaps they can make a statement as well about how to show people on TV against a huge club chasing the title, how far they've come as well from what was a poor start to the season?
I think it's more a statement for themselves, not to show outside that we are able to beat the big teams. We showed this so far in the last games at home against the big opponents. We played a good game. We played good games. Only against Man City we had no chance. But also to show themselves that they are one step further in their development. I think that's the most important thing, and that's what we are talking always about. That we want to show ourselves that we are one step further now in our development, and flexibility, mentality, but also the balance, to find the right balance against such a team is the most crucial thing, because in some areas against this team to take risk is horrible because they immediately win the ball and then it goes very quick with just a lot of speed on the pitch. So I think we must be brave in the right areas and play football in the right areas. And then we showed that we also can score against these big teams and get a good result against these big teams. But that is a really, really tough challenge, yes.
Just wondering, your second game was your first game against a Big Six team, the Arsenal, at home. Just wondering how important that was in terms of you play this team and you can beat a team at that level.
I spoke very often about this game, that it was the most important win so far in our time together, because that was the first moment where my players saw that it is possible to win in this shape or in this style of football, a game against also a big team if you want. And everything what was coming after was a logical next step in our development. But this way we took so far was a long one and a tough one, and with ups and also downs a few. But I think that's normal in a new game, in a new team. I had a new team here and wanted to put my philosophy in, and we made a good development so far. And so far, I can't see the limits from us in the moment. We made in the winter break some interesting decisions. Don't sign new players. I know that it was a risky situation we had. We were looking on the young players from the academy, brought them in. I wanted to give them trust, and now you can see that it was not the worst way we went. So let's have a look. We have now 7 more games to go in this year, and we are 5 points ahead of the line, and that feels comfortable in the moment. But we want to go on. We want to keep on working, and that's what we will do until the end. And now, after Liverpool, they're coming the teams. They are maybe. We are head-to-head, and we have more chances to take a win, like against Liverpool, for example, but you never know.